All right. Man, the myth, the legend.
Somebody show up. Somebody else here?
Rusty Mansell.
Oh, man.
Yes. DawgsHQ, what's up, brother?
Back again, man.
Yes.
Like there's not enough going on in Atlanta right now. Beyonce,
buddy.
WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
And you've got MLB All-Star Game and sprinkle in some SEC Media Days.
You going to go to the home run derby after?
I don't think I'm going to make that. You know? It's crazy because I'm so old. Like, I grew up with, like, Andre Dawson and Dale Murphy, and everybody would do it. You know, and Mark McGuire, Sam. You need a little – I liked it when my guys look like wrestlers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, a little more juice.
Bring the steroids back.
Well, that's steroids, man. I mean, for baseball, my God.
Well, you know, they're starting to do an Olympic style. I don't know if you've seen that. It's not completely rolled out, but it's going to be like Olympic style, but everything goes.
Yeah,
and
that's what you should.
Yeah, they're going to be breaking records like crazy.
Nobody. Listen, just because they had steroids, I mean, it didn't happen. Like, I watched Sammy Sosa hit them into the parking lots over there.
You were either Sosa or McGuire. And then here comes Bonds after, you know.
It's funny, Barry Bonds is like his rookie years, hat size was like 6 7/8.
Yeah.
And by the time he left, it was like 9 1/4. Oh, man, I miss those days.
Oh, buddy, I did too.
Miss them.
You know what? Believe it or not, I went on like a baseball tour with my dad when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was during all that, and we were up at Wrigley Field when they were playing the Cardinals. So it was McGuire and Sosa. I think Sosa hit 2 that day, McGuire hit 1. And that's all anybody cared about.
Yeah.
They didn't care about who won the game. They were just it was just a race to 61, 62.
The last athletic thing I did in my entire life, the Braves' first World Series game here was in 1991, Game 3 against the Twins. Played 2 up there, I think, and came back here. We were walking into the stadium, me and 2 guys I went to college with, 2 kids I grew up with, and back then you had paper tickets. Now, you got to imagine this is the first World Series ever played in Atlanta. I think I was 18, 19 years old, and it was an elderly couple walking in front of us, very tight surrounding. And these 2 kids just bum rushed them at the same time and grabbed those tickets out of their hands. And we chased their ass down and got those tickets back.
Jeez.
I was out of breath, but we got those tickets back for those people. So
That's how we met.
that was, they were a little faster. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if we had that in, but we did. We got those tickets back. It wasn't too far because it was so crowded.
Yeah.
But, man, they had looked at those people, and they were like easy targets. And you don't think about it. But, you know, back then, like the guy just had them in his hand, and they just swapped them, man. But we got them back for them.
What if that happened this morning?
I'd have probably called. I'd have said, hey, they're running. They held on this, and they were heading toward the stadium. Yeah. My copay's too high to be sprinting, man.
Hey, a common theme, Rusty, I keep talking to all these people. You know, we'll talk to each other here, and it's just that, man, the SEC could be wide open this year.
I think college football's wide open.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree with that? Like last year, we're sitting here, I think we probably all would agree it was going to go through Ohio State at some point. Almost didn't, but I think on paper, Ohio State was the alpha team, in my opinion. I don't know if there's an alpha team. Like, I don't know if there's a team that you circle and go, this is the one that should win all 15 or 16. I think everybody's going to have a loss here or there. I think there's a lot of great questions, a lot of new quarterbacks, things like that. I don't know if there is a true alpha team in college football this year, which is good.
And I think a big reason is a lot of the name teams, Georgia, your Texas, your Bama, Ohio State, Michigan.
New quarterbacks.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
And
new
which one's
quarterbacks.
going to hit? I mean, everybody assumes Arch Manning. And he'll be good. But will he be what he's built up to be immediately?
Well, I tell you what, man, it's nobody feels sorry for him, but that's a lot on him. I mean, they're expecting this guy to come out and be a world beater, and I don't know if he's quite ready for that. Now, I don't know that he's not going to be the number 1 pick, and I don't know that he is not superhuman, but what they're throwing on him and what's being expected right now, that's a lot. And I'm telling you, he's going to be in some situations. Because I'll say this, he looked very uncomfortable to me against Georgia when he came in. Had a couple of scrambles. I know when he broke the pocket on that one scramble, he thought he was about to get 15 yards, and his ass got tackled for a 2-yard loss. Jalen Walker walked him down. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying this guy can't be that because he is super talented. I know he is, but he's going to face a lot that he's never seen. He's going to be in some buildings where the entire week they're going to game plan against you. that crowd is going to be ready for you. Now, he's got a lot of weapons. He's got a great offensive coach there, but there's a lot on him. I mean, I see people saying he's the Heisman favorite and stuff. I mean, that's unrealistic. I mean, right now, if you had to bet your mortgage payment and you had to take Arch Manning or Lenore Sellers for the year, I would take Sellers.
Yeah.
I've seen – I know what he can do. He's going to get even better. So we'll see.
What do you think about the quarterback room down there in Georgia?
You know, I get a lot of people that ask that question, and there's real questions about Gunner. There's real questions. I know Gunner. I know how he's made up. I think the success rate kind of under Kirby is kind of kids like Gunner. You know what I mean? It means something to him. Georgia, I mean, his sister's named Georgia. He's a Bulldog through and through. He's extremely smart. He can hurt you with his legs. You know, there's still questions there. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke. He's going to have a lot of talent around. I think Georgia's wide receiver room is a lot better, They went out and spent there. Not going to beat around the bush and got some players. But I think Gunner is going to also face some things. I know he's played in some games, and he's played, you know, against Texas, and he's going to go to Knoxville, and it's different when you're the guy and you know you're staring down Neyland at 3:30, and that's going to be World War III there. It's a little different. You'll find out. I think Georgia's got the right pieces around him. I think they'll be good defensively. Georgia's not going to ask you to throw for 405 yards and rush for 105. They're going to ask you not to turn it over, and when you hit those deep shots, you got to hit them. You got to take those chances and make it. And I think Gunner's got a little bit of what I would say ish in his neck. I mean, and I'll tell you this too now. I know that Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo are going to have to calm him down because he takes a lot of physical contact. Obviously, the Texas game, but I don't think people realize even in the Florida State game when they had to blow out a couple years ago, he came in and played second. He took a hell of a shot in that game. You cannot take shots like that as a quarterback. I know you want to get everybody, but you got to get down. You got to get out of bounds, and he's going to have to learn to ramp himself down a little bit like that. We need you for the next play. We got running backs. We got guys to take that beating. We don't need you trying to run over a strong safety on the sideline. So that's something that he'll have to learn as he goes on too.
Have you seen a receiver room like this in a long time?
I
mean, you guys are absolutely loaded, man.
They're deep, and they're big too.
Yeah.
I don't think people talk enough about Kobe Young coming back. I played in a golf tournament a couple weeks ago, a bunch of Georgia players, and I've never seen Kobe Young without his helmet. And this guy comes walking through the parking lot, and I said, that is a big-ass dude, man. And they said, that's Kobe. I said, that's Kobe Young? And they said, yeah. I was like, whoa. Like, he is legit 6'5", 6'6".
Wow.
Yeah. So you start talking about you had Noah Thomas in on top of
Yeah.
that. So they can go 6'6", 6'5" on the edge. And you take Branch in the slot.
Right.
And then so they've got some guys there. I think Georgia – it was just missing last year. Inconsistent, I think it got frustrating with Beck. You know what I mean? There were some balls. I think Beck had some inconsistent at times with deep balls, and I think it's pretty obvious what Georgia did. They went and spent, and then went and got what they thought was the best guys. And they had some high school guys now. You got a kid named Talon Taylor, was the first 5-star wide receiver they've signed since George Pickens, kid out of Illinois. Yeah. Then you go get C.J. Wiley that was committed to Florida State for a while. So they've added some, I would think, playmakers. So Gunner's going to have to distribute the ball and know where to go with that. But I will say when Georgia wants to go 6'5", 6'6", they can go that on the same formation, which is hell to deal with now.
Who's the next great Georgia defensive lineman? Because I think they're like 14th in returning production, defensive line snaps. So obviously they're going to be talented. But they lost a lot of production from last year.
They did lost a lot of production. And I don't know that they got it's painful for Georgia fans. You're never going to have Devontae White, Jalen Carter, Trayvon Walker. You're not going to have 4 absolute first-rounders anymore. Can you be great as a unit? And I think that's more of what you see with Georgia. The next great defensive lineman from Georgia, to me, and we'll go back and look at this 3 years, it's going to be Elijah Griffin. He was, for most people, if he wasn't number 1, he was number 2 player in America last year at Savannah Christian. This is a kid that during testing 2 weeks ago, I think they did their combine testing. He ran between different reports between 4.75 and 4.8 at 305 pounds. I mean, this is a damn absolute runaway unicorn that will get after you now. He's a freshman, and my motto on those guys are the further away from the ball you are, the more impact. So the corners and DBs, You start asking a freshman to come in and just wreak havoc. Probably not going to do that every down, but I would say by the time Florida rolls around at the end of October, this kid's going to be into what I call meaningful minutes, and he's going to be a problem to deal with. But I don't think they got first rounders there. I think they got great unit guys. You know what I mean? It's hard to look, man. You look at Devontae Wyatt and Trayvon Walker and Jalen Carter and all those guys and think, shit, man, we got to face those guys for 4 quarters. I got to get after that for 4 quarters. Yeah, that would probably wasn't fun facing Georgia back then, for sure.
Is Kirby and Sankey, have they made up? And
I tell you what, man. You know what? Neither one of them were about their power bill. That's the problem. You know, if the problems wouldn't be so bad. You thought, damn, both my AC units are running. Like I'm worried about both my AC units. You know what I mean? Real world problems. I would imagine they probably had some heated discussions, and Kirby has his opinion, and certainly, you know, being kind of the seniority guy of the SEC, which is crazy. I think that you know, he's got one opinion, but Sankey, I think at the end of the day, I think that Greg Sankey is the guy that loves the SEC, and that's his baby. And right now, it's us against the world kind of mentality. This is the way we want it, and everybody else doesn't want the way the SEC wants it. You know.
This is not what we grew up with. I know what we're used to. But did Ohio State show last year that a team like Georgia can lose multiple games in the regular season and still be confident that they can win the national championship because they're built different than most?
Dude, so that is the thing that all of us, all 3 of us, and everybody that loves college football, we have to reprogram our mind, because if you go back 2 years ago, Ohio State doesn't make it. Did they spend $40 million? No. But I guarantee you they spent $30 million on that team, and that's fine. That's within whatever the rules they are. They made it work. Now, they didn't go out and get a ton of transfer guys. They got their juniors to come back, and they didn't come back just because they loved the horseshoe. Let me just be honest with you. They had some pride in them, but they also had some financial numbers to come back, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Think about this. They lose 2 games. They're not in. 2 years ago, they're out. Then you throw in the playoff system last year, they were able to get in. Then they were hot, and then they were the best team. So now you have to program yourself. If Georgia loses to Tennessee, and then Georgia loses to Auburn, and they go 10-2 with a hell of a schedule. If Georgia beats Alabama, if they beat Ole Miss, they beat Texas, they lose to Auburn, they lose to Tennessee, just for example, they're getting in. But it's hard for fans to be like, damn, this ain't right. You know what I mean? But you have to, 2 things, program yourself. You have to get in, and you have to be healthy. And I think Georgia was extremely beat up. They just were beat up. And I've talked to a lot of people afterwards, and credit Notre Dame because they got after Georgia's ass. But I will say this. You go down there, I'm there, you have a freaking terrorist attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That affects both teams, okay? Then Kirby Smart's dad is basically on his deathbed. You know what I mean? So he's sitting there, and from what I was told, they did a walkthrough the night before. They have to go get Kirby during the middle of the walkthrough and take him to the hospital. Not sure his dad's going to make it. The guy's afraid to check his phone at halftime because you don't know if your dad's passed away or not. And just a lot of things went on, and they weren't healthy. But I will say this, all the credit in the world to Notre Dame because they kicked Georgia's ass physically up front. I mean, I watched it in person, and they wound up playing for the national championship. But for Georgia's sake, you got to be healthy at the right time, and you got to have some of that luck at the end to have some things roll your way.
Does that change anything for Kirby, though, when it comes to anything, roster construction? What do they call it,
Yes.
Bloody Tuesday? Maybe.
No,
Okay.
they don't have Bloody Tuesday.
We're going to
there.
keep that.
I just don't know. You know, I would imagine that they're going to walk back some of the stuff because you need to be. You don't have to play 2 games in December. That's it. Now you might play 2 in December and two in January, and freaking head knockers. So everybody's going to have to adjust. I think one of the things you try to see what Kirby is doing. Some teams, I'm not saying this is wrong. We're going to find out. Some teams are basically paying their top 40 players. The top 40 is getting all the money. 41 through 85 and 90 is getting a little bit. I feel like, from what I know, that Georgia is paying some of their guys, but they're trying to be 3 deep. They're still trying to be, number 70 is still a good football player, even though he hadn't got in. So those are some of the questions we're going to find out. If you can be deep enough to sustain injuries, because some schools, if your left tackle goes out, you're screwed. The guy behind you, what can he do? You know what I mean? If your starting safety goes out in week 10, who's replacing him? And I think Georgia is trying to make sure that they're top 2 or 3 so you can keep your practice schedule, you can keep your workout schedule and still be good enough to finish this thing off.
We were talking to Cole Kublik earlier, and we were talking about the running game in Georgia. It's not like we grew up watching.
No.
And do you see any type of change in our future? I mean, it's tough for me to see change and then go out and get these guys in the wide receiver room. It almost feels like we're going to continue that. But is there going to be a Frazier? Is there going to be somebody that steps up in that room and just reminds us why Georgia used to be RBU?
Well, I know this, that was a major, if not the biggest, off-season emphasis. And I apologize for not knowing his name, but the Jacksonville Jaguars O-line coach, who I think with the previous staff was let go with some of those guys. So a lot of times those guys will kind of dip their toes into college for a year, see if they like it and all that. And I apologize for not knowing his name. I should, but I am told he is heavily involved too in the run game. Some of the stuff they did with Jacksonville, some of the stuff he's seen in the NFL. I know Stacey Searles. That's a major emphasis for Georgia. You got to be able to run the football. And whatever side of the fence you're on with Mike Bobo, which is another topic of craziness, he's always been able to run the football. He ran the football at Colorado State. They couldn't stop anybody defensively. That was the problem that got him there. But offensively, they ran the football. He's always been able to run the football. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to pick up. Like you're going to have to. I tell you now, they got a freshman, Bo Walker, that he can play. Yeah, I can't remember his last name. Yeah, I couldn't remember his last name. So, he's heavily involved in this too. So he's going to bring some fresh ideas in there. But I do know it's a huge emphasis in the offseason. And Georgia's got to be able to run. If Georgia cannot run the football, they're not going to play in late January. It's not. You can't just dink and dunk and throw the ball down the field. You've got to be able to line up and mash somebody. And they've always been able to do that. But also, too, I think you have to be able to break tackles. I think the ability, one of my favorite running backs I've ever watched was Noshawn Marino. You would hit Noshawn a yard deep, and his ass would spin on you, and it'd be 2nd and 3 instead of 2nd and 11. Yards after first contact. And my favorite word, this came out last couple of years, contact balance. I love that. That's like me and you at Cracker Barrel, contact balance. You put a spin move on somebody, you get to the snack bar, but contact balance, man, being able to make it 2nd and 3 instead of 2nd and 8 is freaking huge. I don't care what you run the 40. How many times do you see a running back run 40 yards? Can we move the chains and can we break tackles? And I think Nate Frazier's a guy that can help. I know Bo Walker, what I saw out of him early on. I really like what I saw out of him. So we'll see. He's yoked up.
If Rusty Mansell was in charge of the SEC championship, would you change anything? Because I feel like we've kind of neutered that game.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I know they want it. I know why they want it, because there's a lot of money involved. And, I live close to Atlanta. It's a great environment. I just don't know that it has the same juice as me watching, Alabama and Florida in the 90s, or watching, I was here when Tennessee beat Auburn in that game in 97, I think. Georgia beat Arkansas in 02. I've been to a lot of it, and there was nothing like the SEC game. I was here when Georgia beat Texas last year, and that was still a hell of a game. But the first thing you're thinking is, who do we have in the playoffs, and who's healthy, who's hurt, how bad is Carson Beck hurt? You know what I mean? So it's still the SEC. I don't know how they can fix it. I know why we're going to play it, and we're going to continue to have it, because there's a lot of damn money involved, and that's a hell of a TV game. But, Ohio State didn't have to have it. And at the end of the day, what's the team you think about last year? You think about Ohio State. They got rings. They got the real ring. So I don't know how to fix that.
Lane Kiffin was trying to tell us what Ohio State was about to do. Yeah.
I would have liked to seen like Ole Miss, Bama playing that game, and the winner goes to the playoff.
I've heard the double hitter deal where you do. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Now I would not have a problem with that. They've got to find some way to keep it relevant. But I'm telling you right now, as soon as one of these teams gets screwed in that game, it's going to be somebody's going to be, Texas and Georgia both made it last year. What if somebody's on the fence and they get beat? Or, what if Georgia would have beaten Texas or Texas would have beaten Georgia and they knew Carson Beck was done? What happens there? What happens there? What Ole Miss got in, they beat Georgia head-to-head. So,
one of the hot topics today was sellers walking around. I've heard it asked a million different ways about
Yep.
him being approached, trying to enter the portal. I would imagine it happens everywhere. But what are some things that Kirby especially is, because I remember he made the comment about being invited to a
Zoom call with agents.
Zoom
some
call.
of his players on there.
Yeah.
I would imagine behind the scenes it's just nastiness. You know, this is how. So I did a high school game last year in Georgia. I do Friday night high school, which is cool. And I was talking to one of the coaches on the field pregame. I said, "Hey man, how's recruiting going? How's your seniors doing?" And he goes, "Rusty, nobody's calling me about my seniors." And I said, "That's strange." He goes, "You know what they're calling me about? They're calling me about my two players right now. That one's at one school doing really good, and one's at another school doing really good, and they're trying to tell those kids to get in the portal through me." And you know what? And I believe this guy. He just said, "I've got to take those calls for my kids. I don't. It's dirty business, but my kids are at this level, and there's a school at this level calling me, saying if you get in, what kind of situation to put your high school coach into if he doesn't mention it to you." And you know what? Both of those kids transferred, and both of them went to bigger programs. That doesn't mean he facilitated it, but that's the level, and that's what they're going through.
And he's looking for their interest, and
because he loves. I mean, the schools they were at, there's no way they could have got the NIL dollars for what both of those kids got, because both of them went to Power 4. Both of them did. Two different schools, and it's just you hate that part of it. You hate that part, and those two schools that recruited those kids and developed them. And, they're thinking we'll have those for the third year. Shit, they're gone. You'll be watching them on Saturday night primetime when you're on a bus leaving your 12 o'clock game from God knows where, It sucks, but that's reality.
I mean, we see it. We saw, Mississippi State lost starting quarterback, so he could back up.
He lit Georgia up. I'm telling you, I was there, and I was like, this dude right here, you know what's crazy? I looked at this guy beside me, and I said, if that guy goes in the portal, everybody's going to play. That's the first time he played. And he was dropping darts on Georgia. Like every ball, I was like, holy smokes. Even the Mississippi State guys beside me were like, he's going to leave. He's going to leave. I was like, he might. If he beats Georgia today, he's damn sure leaving. I was like, God, this guy's good. And, I had a coach. I may have said this before, y'all. I had a coach tell me they dreaded playing on Wednesday night in the MAC because everybody in the country got to watch them play. Not like back in the day. Like you recruited, like your grandparents and your aunt and uncle going to be able to watch us on Wednesday nights from Atlanta. Come up here. But now you're like, God, I hope we don't play on Wednesday night because everybody in the country is watching us. And you have 125 yards. People going to be in your DMs, which is wild, man, to think about that. But you never think about that side.
No.
Coaches walk around going, your hammy don't feel good. You can sit out this week. You can play Akron next week. You'll be much healthier,
And you feel bad for him, but then it may be helping your teams.
I had a G5 coach tell me that some of their recruiting is, if you come here and do well, you're going to go to SEC. You're going to get the real money. And he's embraced it. You know what? That coach is doing well. He is getting kids, and he's saying, come here and get 2 years of tape. And if you can go, then go. So that guy's doing well. It's crazy, ain't it? Don't finish out here. No. Just come here. I'm going to polish you up, and I'm going to put you on the front of the car lot, and I'm going to get you some real money, Wow.
That's a hell of a recruiting pitch, though. Yeah.
Wow. I think Texas A&M makes the playoff. I think they've got enough. I dug in a couple weeks ago, kind of getting ready for this. I think they're because everybody's talking about Arch and everybody's talking about LSU, and they're kind of right in between there. And I think Marcel Reed's a problem. I think they got playmakers. I think I hadn't even seen Billy Lucci yet, so I hadn't been bribed or anything. So I think Texas A&M is going to make the playoffs. I think they're and
what's interesting, Marcel Reed. Everybody overlooks him. He's totally underrated. But he's essentially was DJ Lagway last year. The difference being Lagway got hot at the end. Marcel Reed. That actually Marcel Reed was playing well. The defense killed him against Auburn, killed him against South Carolina, and killed him against Southern Cal in the bowl game. That's not on your quarterback. He's never had the full reps of an offseason. He got that
Entire
year or two.
offseason. I'm telling you, man, he athletic, hurt you, and then accuracy. Two things I have, of course, people miss all the time, NFL misses, but being in it now, 16, 17 years in the business, kind of doing evaluations, the quarterback to me is being able to process after the snap. Number one is accuracy. Number two is process after the snap. And number three, can I hurt you with my legs a little bit? Can I get outside the pocket and move the chains to make the first down? And I saw C.J. Stroud against Georgia. He never showed that. In those Michigan games, he gets sacked, he stay in the pocket. They turned him loose against Georgia, and that's why you're seeing what he can do in the NFL, because accuracy and can he hurt you with his legs just enough. You don't have to be, you don't have to rush for 200 yards, but can you turn 2nd and 7 into a first down? And that's a nightmare. Every defensive coordinator I talk to, I always ask them, what kills you? And they're like, dude, man coverage runs everybody off, and that damn guy breaks contain, and then you just all hell breaks loose. So I think Marcel Reed's going to be an issue, man. I really do. He don't have enough around him, I think, at Arkansas, but I like Green a lot too. I think he's a big dude now, and they lost a lot of receivers, and we'll see what Pitt does up there. I know that's y'all's guy, that's my guy. Talked to him a couple weeks ago. He was getting ready to go to the lake, and he said he's going to work on his tan and getting ready for football season, man.
How'd they do at the Derby?
I ain't heard back from him since the Derby. So I don't know. You know what's crazy? Of course, like 3 years ago, that horse from Arkansas won. It was like 40-1, and he went up there with that guy, and we talked a little bit right before, and he was like, "Yeah, man, supposedly this horse is pretty damn good." I was like, "I might have thrown a little something on him." I didn't throw anything on him. The dude wins at 40-1 or whatever it was. The damnedest thing I've ever seen.
I don't think you could top that. I don't think I'd go back.
No.
Well, it's like have you heard that Pat McAfee bit where he talks about Peyton Manning coming in? He's at the roulette table and he says, "Put it on red 18." And as soon as he left, everybody put their money on 18 and it hit. It was like,
dude, I walked into the casino probably 25 years old, and I literally could not lose a hand for about 10 hours one time. I left with more money than I will ever win in my life ever. I haven't won a damn dime. They've won every ounce of that back. I left that day going, you know what? I'm a professional poker player. And I'm going to start teaching classes. I'll get you signed up online. I'm going back in a month, and I'm going to clean this place out. I'm telling you, since that day, every time I walk in, they give me a group hug. Come on in. Your money's still good. They've got it all back. But I left there that day I actually called my stepmom. It was a banker. I was like, how much do I need to win before I have to report it? She gave me the number. I was like, I'm stopping there. And I got to that point and stopped. But not again, man. Not again.
Hey, before you go, Rusty, can you tell our audience how to follow you? And you got any deals going on at DawgsHQ?
Now, DawgsHQ, what's great is DawgsHQ and UGA Sports, so the rivals, and we not combined. We're two separate sites, but for the price of one subscription, you can read both sites. And the old dog vent has been around since 1995, and you can read Dog Walk. So it's great what Shannon's done. I can't kiss his ass. I got in trouble last time. And somebody in y'all's threads was like, is this his damn stepbrother or something? So I can't say anything about Jack Terry, y'all, even though they're badasses. And buying rivals has been cool, and trying to get that up and going. So I think it's still, we got great deals going. But for Georgia individual market, it's great right now because you can pay the price of one and see both, which is I never thought to this day. It's still weird for me because, that started in 1995. We started in 2022. So it's been around a long time, and we're now kind of together. You know what I mean? I'm like, I got something behind the scenes over here. I guess y'all can take it, but over there, and so, but it's cool. It's been great. And, it's so Tennessee, Auburn and all the rival sites on 3 combined. It's been awesome, man.
Thank you so much, Rusty. This is one of the highlights of our media days every year.
Hey, dude.
We can go ahead and break it down.
Let me tell you
now.
something. If I didn't come on here with y'all two, my mom, I'm pretty sure my mom would call and be like, "You're out of the wheel." She loves some SEC Mike, son. She loves it.
Oh,
So,
well, you tell her we're a big fan as well.
yep. Well, y'all, if Kaylee gets on, y'all make her talk how good a steak I can cook. We got to play golf, man. We got to play golf. I'll be up in Nashville probably some point in August to see Jared Curtis. He'll be back in action, and tell him I come up and watch him a little bit. I have been. I've told the story on here about the time I went to the. I had somebody had some tickets. I went. It was good. And I told a story on here one time that I got lucky enough to go to the private club, and Peyton Manning's greeting you when you walk up with a green jacket on. Yeah, and then Lynn Swan, so it's pretty cool.
Well, if you get an extra ticket, any of that,
You know what? I'll probably sweep in the parking lot. But I have been to. I'm gonna tell you something. There's no place. It's hard. It's hard to believe. Like there's no place on earth that looks like that.
I hear that.
So,
I put in every year.
yeah,
They
just for
keep
the fun.
rejecting
The
me.
day you go, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna get you police escort in. They're gonna get you in Atlanta, and by God, cousin Shane all the way to Augusta.
Hell
Get
yeah, let's do
your
it.
time in, man. Appreciate it,
Thank you
guys.
so much.